The divorce papers were supposed to arrive next Tuesday. Instead, I found my wife's sister, Charlotte, living in our guest room with her 3 kids and a boyfriend I'd never met, eating cereal from our wedding china at 7 in the morning. "Morning, Mark," Charlotte chirped, not bothering to look up from her phone. "Hope you don't mind. Lucy said we could crash here for a few weeks while we get back on our feet." I stood in the doorway of my own kitchen, briefcase in hand, watching this woman I barely tolerated turn my home into her personal shelter. The boyfriend, some tattooed guy in his 30s, nodded at me like we were old buddies. "Where's Lucy?" I asked. "Already left for work. Big client meeting today with that William Fellows guy." Charlotte finally looked up, smirking. "She said you'd be cool with everything." Cool. Right. My wife had just unilaterally decided to house her unemployed sister's entire dysfunctional family without asking me. Again, I'd married Lucy Franklin 3 years ago, thinking I'd found my perfect match. She was charming, beautiful, worked as a customer ambassador at my marketing firm, and had this magnetic personality that drew people in. What I didn't realize was that she collected people like trophies and discarded them just as easily. "How long is a few weeks?" I asked. Charlotte shrugged. "Depends. Jake here just got laid off, and with 3 kids. She gestured vaguely at the chaos surrounding us. Cereal was scattered across the granite countertops, juice boxes littered the floor, and someone had apparently used my coffee maker to heat up chocolate milk. The boyfriend, Jake, spoke up for the first time. "Appreciate the hospitality, man. Charlotte says you guys are loaded, so this is perfect timing." Loaded. Perfect timing. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "I need to get to work," I said, stepping over a toy truck. "We'll discuss this tonight." But when I got home that evening, Lucy was already gone again. Another client dinner with William Fellows, according to the note she'd left on the kitchen counter. Charlotte had made herself even more comfortable, ordering pizza on my credit card and letting her kids use my home office as a playground. "Lucy said you wouldn't mind," became Charlotte's favorite phrase over the next week. "Lucy said I wouldn't mind them using my Netflix account. Lucy said I wouldn't mind Jake borrowing my car. Lucy said I wouldn't mind covering groceries for 5 extra people." The breaking point came on Friday night. I arrived home from a brutal day dealing with our most demanding client, ironically, William Fellows, to find my house full of strangers. Charlotte had invited her friends over for what she called a small get-together. "Mark!" Lucy appeared at my elbow, drink in hand, eyes bright with that particular sparkle she got when she was networking. "Perfect timing. Come meet everyone." She dragged me through my own living room, introducing me to people I'd never seen before as if I were a prop in her social performance. Charlotte held court by the fireplace, regaling the crowd with stories about her generous brother-in-law who'd saved her family. "Where did all these people come from?" I whispered to Lucy. Charlotte needed cheering up after Jake's job situation. "Don't be antisocial, Mark. These are my friends from the yoga studio." Her friends, not our friends. I noticed how she positioned herself, always slightly apart from me, always ready to drift away to more interesting conversations. I retreated to the kitchen and found Jake rummaging through my liquor cabinet. "Hope you don't mind," he said, holding up my 20-year-old scotch. "Charlotte said you were cool with sharing." "Actually, I do mind." I took the bottle from his hands. That was a gift from my father. Jake's expression shifted, becoming defensive. "Dude, relax. It's just booze. Charlotte says you've got plenty of money." Charlotte says a lot of things. Look, man, I get it. Having family stay over can be stressful. But we're all adults here. Lucy told Charlotte you were happy to help out. Happy. I looked through the kitchen doorway at Lucy, who was laughing at something one of her yoga friends had said. She caught my eye and waved, then immediately turned back to her conversation. The next morning, I found Charlotte in my home office on my computer, applying for jobs using my personal email address. "I hope you don't mind," she said automatically. "My laptop crashed and Lucy said you wouldn't care." I stared at her for a long moment. "Charlotte, we need to talk." She looked up, annoyed at being interrupted. "Can it wait? I'm in the middle of something important here." No, it can't wait. This arrangement isn't working. Her expression hardened. What do you mean? I mean, you and Jake and the kids need to find somewhere else to stay. This was supposed to be temporary. Charlotte stood up, crossing her arms. Are you serious right now? We've got nowhere else to go. Lucy said we could stay as long as we needed. Lucy doesn't make unilateral decisions about our home. Our home? Charlotte laughed. Come on, Mark. Everyone knows you're just the wallet in this relationship. Lucy's the one with the personality, the connections, the career potential. You think she married you for your sparkling conversation? The words hit like a physical blow, partly because they echoed thoughts I'd been trying to suppress for months. Get out, I said quietly. Excuse me? You heard me. Pack your things and get out, all of you. Charlotte's eyes flashed. You can't do that. Lucy invited us. It's my name on the mortgage. We'll see about that. She pulled out her phone. Lucy? Yeah, your husband is having some kind of breakdown. He's trying to kick us out. I could hear Lucy's voice through the phone, sharp and annoyed. Charlotte handed me the phone with a smirk. Mark? What's going on? Lucy's voice was cold, professional, the tone she used with difficult clients. I want them out, Lucy, today. Are you insane? Charlotte has nowhere else to go. Her kids are settled here. You can't just throw a family out on the street. I'm not throwing them out. I'm asking them to find their own place to live like normal adults. God, Mark, when did you become so selfish? This is exactly what Charlotte said would happen. You can't stand not being the center of attention for 5 minutes. What Charlotte said would happen. There was a pause. Look, we'll discuss this when I get home. I'm with William right now, and this is incredibly unprofessional. She hung up. Charlotte was watching me with undisguised satisfaction. Told you, she said. Lucy knows who really matters in this family. That evening, Lucy came home with William Fellows himself. I'd met William several times at company events. He was our biggest client, wealthy, arrogant, and had a way of looking at people like he was calculating their net worth. He was also married, though that didn't stop him from flirting with every woman at the office. Mark, William's voice boomed through the foyer. Hope you don't mind me dropping by. Lucy was telling me about your little domestic situation. My little domestic situation. I looked at Lucy, who avoided my eyes. We were just discussing some solutions, Lucy said brightly. William had some interesting ideas. We sat in my living room. Charlotte had finally cleared out her friends, while William laid out his solution with the confidence of a man accustomed to buying his way out of problems. Here's what I'm thinking, William said, leaning back in my chair like he owned it. You're obviously feeling overwhelmed by the family situation. Understandable. But Charlotte and her kids need stability, so I'm prepared to make you an offer. He paused dramatically, enjoying the moment. $100,000 for you to let them stay. Cash, no questions asked. I stared at him. What? Think of it as rent. Compensation for your inconvenience. Charlotte gets the stability she needs, Lucy gets to help her sister, and you get a nice financial cushion. Everyone wins. The room was dead silent. Charlotte was watching with barely contained excitement. Lucy was studying her hands. You want to pay me to let my sister-in-law live in my house? I want to solve a problem, William said smoothly. I'm good at solving problems. It's what I do. And what do you get out of this? William smiled. The satisfaction of helping a friend. I looked at Lucy. What do you think about this? She finally met my eyes. I think it's generous. Think about what we could do with that money, Mark. The kids' college funds, the mortgage. The kids Charlotte brought with her, or our future kids? Don't be difficult, you know what I mean. I stood up. I think you should leave, William. His smile didn't waver. Take some time to think about it. I'm sure you'll see the wisdom in accepting help when it's offered. After he left, Lucy and I had our first real fight in 3 years of marriage. Are you completely insane? She hissed, pacing around our bedroom. Do you have any idea what you just did? I turned down a bribe from your boss to let your sister colonize our house. It wasn't a bribe, it was a solution. A generous solution to a problem you created. I created? Yes, you. With your selfishness and your need to control everything. Charlotte is family, Mark. Family helps family. Since when? You've complained about Charlotte for years, called her a mooch, said she was irresponsible. That was before she really needed help, before her kids were involved. I studied my wife's face, looking for the woman I'd married. What's really going on here, Lucy? What do you mean? I mean, why is William Fellows so invested in your sister's living situation? Why does he care where Charlotte stays? Lucy's expression flickered. He's just being nice. He's a generous person. He's married. So are you. What's your point? My point is that generous married men don't usually offer strangers $100,000 unless they're getting something in return. Lucy turned away. You're being paranoid. Am I? How many of these client dinners have you had this month? That's work, Mark. You wouldn't understand. Try me. She spun around, and for a moment, I saw something raw and desperate in her eyes. Fine. You want the truth? William appreciates me. He values what I bring to the table. He sees my potential. And I don't? You see a wife, someone to split bills with and make small talk over dinner. William sees a partner. The word hung in the air between us. What kind of partner? I asked quietly. Lucy's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her face softened in a way I hadn't seen in months. I have to go, she said. William needs me to review some contracts. At 10 o'clock at night? It's important, Mark. Some of us have ambitions beyond suburban mediocrity. She left. I sat in our bedroom listening to Charlotte's kids running around downstairs and finally understood what was happening. My wife was having an affair with our biggest client, and she'd moved her sister in as cover, creating chaos and conflict to distract me from what was really going on. I pulled out my laptop and started planning. The next morning, while Lucy was at her early meeting and Charlotte was getting the kids ready for school, I made some phone calls, first to my bank, then to my lawyer, then to a private investigator I'd found online. By noon, I had a clear picture of my situation. Lucy had been spending money I didn't know we had. Expensive dinners, hotel rooms, clothes that never made it into our shared closet. William had been paying for most of it, but she'd been supplementing with our joint credit cards. More importantly, I learned that everything, the house, the cars, the credit cards, even Lucy's phone plan, was in my name. She'd insisted on it when we got married, claiming it was more efficient for tax purposes. At 2 p.m., I started making changes. I canceled Lucy's credit cards, froze our joint accounts, changed the passwords on all our shared services, removed her access to the house's security system and garage. Then I called Charlotte. We need to talk, I said. She was in my kitchen, naturally, making lunch for her kids with groceries I'd paid for. If this is about last night... It's not. I've reconsidered William's offer. Her eyes lit up. Really? Really. In fact, I've got a counteroffer. I'll give you $5,000 cash to be out of my house by tonight. Charlotte's expression shifted from excitement to confusion to anger in about 3 seconds. 5,000? He offered 100. He offered me 100 to let you stay. I'm offering you 5 to leave. Take it or leave it. You can't do this. Lucy will kill you. Lucy's not here, and something tells me she's going to be busy for a while. I showed Charlotte my phone. Lucy had been trying to call me for the past hour. 17 missed calls and counting. What did you do? Charlotte whispered. I took back control of my own life. You've got until 6 o'clock. Charlotte called Lucy, who called me, who didn't answer. Then Charlotte called Jake, who called his friends, who apparently called Lucy back, because my phone started ringing nonstop. I turned it off and went back to work. When I got home at 7, the house was empty except for Charlotte, who was sitting in my living room with 2 suitcases and a face full of rage. Lucy's on her way, she said, with William. You're going to regret this. Where are Jake and the kids? His mother's, temporarily. She spat the word like a curse. And your 5,000? Charlotte held up an envelope. Blood money. It's freedom money for both of us. Lucy arrived 20 minutes later with William in tow. She looked frantic, disheveled in a way I'd never seen before. What the hell did you do? She screamed before she was fully through the door. I made some financial adjustments. You froze our accounts. You canceled my cards. Do you have any idea how humiliating... She stopped, realizing William was watching. It's fine, William said smoothly. Just a misunderstanding between spouses. Mark, I think we need to have a man-to-man conversation. I think we do. We went into my office. William closed the door and dropped his friendly facade. You're making a mistake, he said quietly. A big one. Am I? Lucy is special. She's got potential you can't even see. I can offer her opportunities, experiences, a lifestyle you'll never be able to provide. Such as? William smiled. The world, Mark. Travel, culture, connections. Real connections, not suburban networking groups and office Christmas parties. And what does she offer you? Companionship, intelligence, beauty? He paused. Things that matter. What about your wife? William's smile didn't waver. My wife and I have an understanding. Does Lucy know about this understanding? For the first time, William looked uncertain. Lucy knows what she needs to know. I leaned back in my chair. Here's what I know. You're a rich, bored married man who likes to collect pretty things. Lucy is a pretty thing who likes expensive experiences. You've convinced her that what you have is special, maybe even permanent. But we both know it's not. You don't know anything. I know you offered me $100,000 to let my sister-in-law live in my house. That's not generosity, William. That's buying an alibi, keeping Lucy's husband distracted while you play house. William stood up. This conversation is over. Yes, it is. And so is whatever arrangement you had with my wife. He paused at the door. You're going to lose her, Mark. She's already gone. Then she can go all the way. After William left, Lucy and I sat in our living room and had the conversation I'd been dreading for months. I want a divorce, she said quietly. I know. I don't love you anymore. I know that too. She looked surprised. Then why are you making this so difficult? Because I wanted you to be honest about it. Instead of sneaking around, spending our money on hotel rooms, and using your sister as a distraction. Lucy's face went white. How did you figure it out? Lucy, you're not as subtle as you think you are. She was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was different, smaller. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. How was it supposed to happen? I don't know, William makes me feel alive, important, like I matter. And I don't? You make me feel safe, comfortable. But that's not enough anymore. I nodded. Okay. Okay? Okay. You want William's world, go have it, but you don't get to keep mine as a backup plan. What does that mean? It means you choose, him or me, the house or the hotel rooms, but you don't get both. Lucy stared at me. You're giving me an ultimatum? I'm giving you clarity. She stood up, smoothing her skirt. Fine, I choose William. Good. Charlotte's already gone. You can join her. What? The house is mine, Lucy. The cars are mine. The credit cards, the bank accounts, the Netflix password, all mine. You want to leave? Leave. But you leave with what you brought to the marriage. You can't do that. I already did. Lucy pulled out her phone, then remembered it was disconnected. She grabbed the landline and dialed William's number. William? It's Lucy. What do you mean temporarily? But you said... Her voice got smaller. I see. No, I understand. Tomorrow, then. She hung up and looked at me with something like panic. He's busy tonight, she said. I'm sure he is. We need time to figure out the logistics. Take all the time you need, somewhere else. Lucy spent the night at a hotel, on her own dime, since I'd canceled the cards. She called the next morning to say she was staying with William until we work out the divorce details. That lasted 3 days. I was having coffee on Saturday morning when she showed up at the front door, looking like she hadn't slept. We need to talk, she said. About what? About being reasonable. About compromise. I let her in. She sat on the couch we'd picked out together 2 years ago and tried to find her footing. William thinks we should handle this amicably, she began. William thinks a lot of things. He's willing to help with the transition, financially, I mean. How generous. Lucy's composure cracked slightly. Don't be sarcastic, Mark. This is hard enough. What's hard? You made your choice. It's not that simple. Isn't it? She was quiet for a moment. William's situation is complicated. His wife found out? Lucy's expression confirmed my guess. Let me guess, I continued. The understanding William mentioned isn't as understanding as he claimed. His wife is threatening divorce, which would cost him half his fortune, so suddenly he's not as eager to play house with his girlfriend. It's not like that. What's it like? He needs time to handle things properly. And where does that leave you? Lucy looked around the room, our room, with our furniture and our photos and our life, and I saw the exact moment she realized what she'd given up. I thought, I hoped we could work something out, temporarily. You hoped you could move back in? Just until I get back on my feet. No? Mark, please, I made a mistake. You made a choice. I can't afford a place on my own, my job. She trailed off. What about your job? William had to let me go. Conflict of interest with the divorce and everything. I stared at her. So let me understand this. You left me for a man who's now dumping you to save his marriage and who fired you to cover his own ass. It's temporary. Once his situation stabilizes... Lucy, stop. She looked at me with desperate eyes. I know I hurt you. I know I handled this wrong. But we were married. That has to count for something. It counted for everything, until you decided it didn't. So that's it? You're just going to let me crash and burn? I thought about that for a moment. About the woman I'd married, who'd been charming and ambitious and full of life. About the woman sitting in front of me now, who'd traded everything real for something shiny and temporary. I'm going to let you figure it out, I said finally, like an adult. Lucy left that afternoon. I heard through mutual friends that she'd moved in with Charlotte at Jake's mother's place, 4 adults and 3 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. William's wife filed for divorce 2 weeks later. The scandal made the local business journal. Wealthy executive caught in affair with employee, company stock takes a hit. William settled quickly and quietly, giving his wife most of their assets to avoid a prolonged court battle. He left town shortly after, taking a job in another state. Lucy went with him, according to Charlotte, who called to ask if I'd consider helping with her rent. I said no. 6 months later, I got the final divorce papers in the mail. Lucy had signed everything, asking for nothing. There was a note attached in her handwriting. I'm sorry. You deserved better. I kept the note for about 5 minutes, then threw it away. A year later, I sold the house and moved to a smaller place across town. I kept my job at the marketing firm, which had recovered from the William Fellows scandal and was actually doing better with a more stable client base. I ran into Charlotte at the grocery store last month. She looked tired, older, but oddly more settled than I remembered. How's Lucy? I asked. Charlotte shrugged. Living in Phoenix with some new guy. Real estate or something. She seems happy. Good for her. You know, Charlotte said, I never thanked you. For what? For the $5,000. For making me leave. She smiled ruefully. Best thing that ever happened to me. Forced me to grow up, get my own place, stop depending on other people to solve my problems. What about Jake? Gone. Turns out he was only interested when someone else was paying the bills. We talked for a few more minutes, then went our separate ways. As I drove home, I thought about the conversation, about second chances and hard lessons and the price of perfect. My phone rang as I was pulling into my driveway. Unknown number. Hello? Mark? It's Lucy. I sat in my car, engine running, and waited. I know I don't have the right to call, she said. But I wanted you to know. I'm sorry, for all of it. You were a good husband, and I threw it away for something that was never real. Why are you calling, Lucy? Because I wanted you to know that I know, what I lost, what I gave up. Her voice was quiet, steady. You deserved better than what I gave you. Yes, I said, I did. Are you happy? I looked at my small house, thought about my quiet life, my work, my friends, real friends who didn't need anything from me except friendship. I'm content, I said. That's enough. Good, that's good. There was a long pause. Take care of yourself, Lucy. You too, Mark. I hung up and went inside. Made dinner for one, watched a movie I actually wanted to see, and went to bed in a house that was entirely peacefully mine. Sometimes the price of perfect is everything you thought you wanted. Sometimes it's worth paying.